Time was when in the 18th century, Alex will remember, in Britain when hospitals started, any patient who went to the hospital went to heaven. That's why it's called hospitalism. And the person who brought it down was Florence Nightingale. She was not a doctor, she was not even a nurse, because she was just a woman who looked after the sick with all her compassion. And mortality in the Crimean War, which was 100% of wounded soldiers, came down to 40% in 6 months after Nightingale came in there. What did she do? She called herself the general of buckets, soaps, and bread and bandage. All that she did was clean the wound, dress it, talk to them nicely, and give them the food that they needed very badly. Today we know the latest research in Oxford, in 4 universities actually, Oxford, Cambridge, Hamburg and Munich, together, led by an Oxford professor called Bingel, showed that even when you give a very powerful drug like morphia, morphia is the most powerful painkiller to a patient with severe pain, unless you tell the patient this is morphia and it's going to cure you, patient is not going to get pain relief at all. What they did was they were running morphia drip in a patient with severe pain, but told the patient this is not morphia, this is a new vitamin we have found out for your disease. No patient got pain relief. On the contrary, the same patient, crossover, they were just running saline drip and told the patient this is morphia, and everybody got pain relief. This is reductionist science, my dear friends. But these scientists did something more. They said, why does it happen? So they did what's called fMRI, functional MRI, which studies your brain at the same time. We showed that when the patient believed that this doctor is doing good to me, he is giving me morphia, even if it is saline, the brain produces painkillers from the forebrain and the pain completely disappears. Now this is latest scientific research. Now come back to yoga. You sit down and meditate and get into that state of mind where your mind produces opioids in the brain. There is this girl who should have got the Nobel Prize but was snatched away by her boss because boss took the credit and she fought it, and her name is Candace Pert. And Candace was the girl who showed for the first time that not only the brain but every cell has a mind, and that's called the opiate receptors outside. And Candace has written a book after she was thrown out of the palace. You know, in science we call it the NIH, the palace. They're all kings sit there. And then she was thrown out and she wrote a beautiful book for all of you, Molecules of Emotion, where she says, time has come for us not to reach to a tablet when you get a headache, but to sit in one corner and meditate. And when you become tranquil, your headache disappears because your head produces enough morphia. What a beautiful thought. Friends, you thought science came from the West. You will be surprised. There were thinking scientists also in the West. And the thinking scientist, one of the great thinking scientists, Charles Sherrington, in 1899, who was a professor of medicine and got his Nobel Prize. And he wrote, I quote, positive sciences do not answer the question why. They can at best answer the question how or how much. Ratio re is therefore not raised in why. He said, as a physiologist, I can say, how does the muscle contract? But I'll never be able to say, why does the muscle contract? And he said, for knowing that, you must go into teleology. And teleology, in other words, is what is called spirituality. What is spirituality, Alex? Spirit, not spirits that is sold in the wine shop. Spirit is spirus, breath. So our ancestors were cave dwellers. Their science was, they observed. That's called observational science. And today, observational science has come to the fore from the reductionist laboratory science. What does the observation science say? They saw animals which die, they don't breathe. The animals which are alive, they breathe. They thought, and they correctly surmise that breath is God who comes into you when you're born and leaves you when you're dead. And that's where spirit started spirituality. But friends, the real meaning of spirituality is sharing and caring. This is the essence of all spirituality in this world. Today we have changed the definition of health, and this is accepted by the IOM. In February 28th to 2010, we have been able to get the IOM, Institute of Medicine in America, the highest body which audits medicine, to accept the definition of health as enthusiasm to work. You get up in the morning and say, do I want to work? And if the answer is yes, you are healthy. Number two, enthusiasm to be compassionate. If you are compassionate, you are a spiritual being and you think and know that I has no meaning, but we has meaning. Me and Desai Sahib, Yogaraj Desai Sahib are the same because the consciousness is universal and we are part of the universal consciousness, individual consciousness. If I hurt him and if I think of hurting him, my own body gets hurt. What we did not know till today, what we call in a dignified language autoimmune disease, where your own body cells kill your own body cells, today we know it is because me, you concept. We all have this concept, it's mine. I am this, so and so is, Radhe Shyam is different. No, Radhe Shyam is me. And Radhe Shyam cells love my cells as much as I love my cells. And if I hate Radhe Shyam, it hurts not Radhe Shyam, but myself, because Radhe Shyam cells still don't know that I hate him. But my cells know I am hating him. Did you get this message? Now you think Western science has taught us science? No. The three physicists from Oxford, Oxbridge, let us say, Cambridge, Oxford, they came here to study yoga in the early part of the 20th century. Babington, Charles Leadbeater, and Annie Besant. All the three were teaching physics. And they came here, went to the Himalayas, and became yogis and yogic siddhis. And Annie Besant writes, I quote, when we sit in samadhi, I get the third eye, like the eyepiece of a microscope. And I am able to visualize the atomic structure of 9 elements from hydrogen to helium. And she wrote a book in 1920 called Occult Chemistry. People laughed at her. Of course, she stayed back, she started the Congress party, and unfortunately that's the misery for India. But that's a different story. Coming back to the old story of Annie Besant, today we know the old idea of Einstein, Niels Bohr, Paul Dirac, of an atomic thing, electron running around nucleus and jumping up and down is all, I should use this unparliamentary word, bullshit. You don't know what is inside the atom because atom doesn't have anything. It's not there in quantum physics. It is there now, it is not there now. And now they rejuvenated the 1920 book of occult chemistry by the greatest scientists, Nobel laureates, into a thick book. I still have the original 1920 copy, which is just thin, produced by the Oxford University Press in Madras. But today, you have occult chemistry this thick. That's all the difference. They add on to that. And in medicine, what we do is, we have added on things to nothing, and we have come to believe now that there is a pill for every ill. There's an article I have written in the British Medical Journal. There isn't a pill for every ill, but there is an ill following every pill. Which has now been proved to be right, because now the most important cause of death in the world is the medical establishment. And in the medical establishment, the leading cause of death is ADR, adverse drug reactions. You go to a doctor, you come out with a laundry list of drugs. Each one of us scientifically, quote unquote, know what one drug does for one disease. If you are given 20 drugs, God only knows scientifically how they interact between each other and kill you very effectively. Today, anybody goes to the hospital, goes to the intensive care unit. God knows why. Now I know why. In America, 90% of the hospital profits accrue from keeping dying patients in the hospital, intensive care unit, for the last 10 days. So we have come back to the 18th century idea of hospitalism. You go to the hospital to go to heaven. Dignity of death is lost. And if you want to get all that back, and you want to become again human beings, and human and humane, we have only one route to go back to our roots. All of you, many of you must have taken sleeping pills sometime or the other. And many of you need a cup of coffee to wake you up, and probably a peg of whiskey to put you to bed. This all started with scientific discovery of the electric bulb. Thomas Alva Edison found out the electric bulb. Up until then, mankind used to sleep when sun goes down, and to wake up much before the sun comes up in the Brahmi Muhurtam, because your circadian rhythm is tied on to the sun. Now tell me, in large cities like New York, Bombay, Delhi, where is the night? There's no night at all. So you must get sleeplessness. So friends, we must go back to our roots, and the only route is go through the route of Indian Sanatana Dharma. India had a great epic, like Iliad's, Homer, etc. Now, in the next 30 seconds, I'll tell you what I have told you, and that is essence of Mahabharata. Two words, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. Split it. Dharma plus Kshetra, Kuru plus Kshetra. Rewrite it. Kshetre, Kshetre, Dharmam Kuru. In every walk of life, do your duty, and that is to love humanity. Thank you very much.